Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something really fundamental for anyone learning English. How to talk about yourself confidently.
Yeah,
Now, I know this can sometimes feel a bit like, being put on the spot.
definitely.
But honestly, be able to share your story clearly. It just makes a huge difference. It's really key to sounding more fluent, feeling more sure of yourself, and actually making real connections with people.
Exactly. And our goal today really is to give you some practical insights, some examples, the kind of knowledge that goes beyond just basic words.
Right.
So you can talk about all the different parts of your life in English more naturally and, well, with real confidence. We've looked at some great material to help you shape that personal story.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Talking about your background. Think of it like setting the scene. Who you are, we're talking about where you're from, your family, maybe a little bit about your childhood. It's
Right.
often the first thing you chat about when getting to know someone, right?
It really is, yeah. Our sources show that. Sharing where you come from, it's just a natural way to start connecting.
So how do you do that?
Well, one good way to open up, based on what we've seen, is something like this.
Oh.
Hi, I'm your name. I'm originally from your country, but I've been living in city or country for, say, the past few years.
Okay.
I come from a small family. I've got one brother and two sisters. Growing up, I lived in a quiet neighborhood, lots of nature around. It was pretty peaceful, and yeah, I have some lovely memories from back then.
See how that just flows? It sounds straightforward, friendly,
Uh-huh.
and there's some really useful phrases in there, like originally from,
Oh.
that points clearly to where you were born or grew up.
Right. And siblings, that's maybe a slightly more formal word for brothers and sisters. Good one to have. And
Yeah.
neighborhood, just the area where you live. But what's interesting is how these simple words, they form the foundation of your story.
Right, and the key thing, like the sources stress, is keeping your sentences pretty short
Yeah, concise.
and using words you're actually comfortable with. You want it to sound like a real conversation, not like you're reading something you memorized.
And, to make your background sound even more interesting, maybe add a unique detail. Something about your hometown.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, something that makes it stand out. You could say something like, my hometown is known for having more sheep than people. Or, it's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone,
Those little details really stick, don't they?
They do.
They make people curious, give them something to remember. So for you listening, what's maybe one unique thing you could share about where you're from?
Good question.
Okay, building on that, that sense of who you are. Let's talk about hobbies and interests. That's another way to let your personality come through.
Exactly. Moving on to something, more personal. Hobbies, interests. This is where you really show who you are. Sharing what you like doing, it helps people connect on, a deeper level. Shared interests are just great for building that connection. We saw that clearly in the materials.
Yeah, definitely. And our sources had a really good example for discussing hobbies.
Yeah.
Something like, in my free time, I love reading self-improvement books and listening to podcasts about personal growth.
Okay.
I also enjoy going for long walks, especially out in nature. It helps me clear my head, feel more relaxed. And recently, I've started learning how to cook healthier meals. It's been a fun challenge, actually.
What's great there is how they explain why.
Right. The why.
Yeah, adding that why, it just creates a much more real, authentic connection. Our research also flags some useful sentence starters. Things like, in my spare time, I enjoy. Or, I'm really into.
Oh.
Or maybe, lately, I've been trying to. And one thing I'm passionate about is...
Those are brilliant starting points.
Yeah.
And here's something interesting. When you're talking about something you're doing now, like a new hobby, you can use the present continuous tense. Like, I'm learning to play the guitar, or I'm watching a new series on Netflix.
That's a really key point. Present continuous for something ongoing.
Yeah.
And like the sources emphasize, don't just list the hobbies. Explaining why you enjoy them gives so much more insight. Saying, I love painting because it helps me express myself and forget about stress. That's way more engaging than just saying, I like painting.
It really adds another layer, doesn't it?
It does.
So think about your own passions. What are you really into? And maybe more importantly, why? What's the reason behind those hobbies?
Right. Okay, moving on. Let's get into something really common in everyday chat. Your daily life. Your routine.
Ah, yes, the routine.
It might seem simple, but it's super practical for just, practicing English day to day.
Absolutely. We all have a daily rhythm, don't we?
Yeah.
And talking about it is essential. The sources had a pretty clear example for this, too.
Oh, yeah.
Something like, on weekdays, I usually wake up around 7 a.m. I start my day with water, maybe a quick workout, then I get ready, head to work.
Standard stuff.
Yeah. I work as a customer service assistant, so most of my day is spent talking to people. In the evening, I like to relax, maybe watch a film or read. Weekends, I try to get outdoors more, see friends.
You don't list every tiny thing.
Exactly. The key thing there is you just hit the highlights.
Right.
The main events, the main activities, that's enough.
Yeah.
Our materials also gave some useful phrases for this, like I usually, my day starts with, I spend most of my time, and in the evening, I like to.
Those are like little building blocks, aren't they, for describing your day?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're still building your vocabulary here, there are some really common verbs worth knowing. Wake up, get ready, go to work or school, have breakfast, lunch, dinner,
Take a break, finish work.
relax, unwind, all that stuff.
Yeah, those basics. Which actually raises a good point for you listening.
Yeah.
Can you kind of mentally walk through your typical day, weekday, weekend?
Good exercise. Yeah, think about the key actions. Use those verbs. And a really practical exercise we found in the research is to actually list your routine in English
Okay.
and then record yourself saying it.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. Hearing yourself speak, it really helps you notice things.
For sure.
Like your pronunciation, the rhythm, the flow.
It does. It can really help pinpoint areas to work on.
Definitely. Okay, so now let's move to something maybe a bit more inspiring, forward-looking.
Goals and dreams.
Exactly. Talking about what you hope to achieve. It's a fantastic way to practice using those future tenses in English.
It really is. Things like will, going to, would like to. Talking about your goals forces you to use them.
Yeah. Whether it's a small goal for next week or a big dream for the future, saying it in English helps solidify how to use those forms. The sources had a really nice motivating example for this.
Let's hear it.
One of my biggest goals is to become fluent in English. I'd love to travel to the UK one day and, speak confidently with native speakers.
Nice goal.
I'm also planning to take an English exam next year to help my career. In the future, I'd like to work for an international company, maybe even live abroad for a bit.
See, the different ways of talking about the future there is to become I'd love to, I'm planning to, I'd like to.
Yeah, lots of variety.
And the materials pulled out some helpful phrases just for this. I'd love to. My dream is to. In the future, I want to. I'm planning to. And one of my goals is to.
Those phrases are great starting points for talking about your ambitions. And here's a little tip from the sources that I thought was quite smart.
What's that?
When you talk about the future, try to actually picture it. Visualize achieving the goal.
Ah, okay.
Apparently, it can make how you speak sound more natural, maybe more emotionally connected.
That makes sense. And there's something quite powerful about just saying your dreams out loud.
Yeah,
It can actually make them feel more real, more achievable.
I can see that. So for you listening, what are some of your goals, big or small?
Right.
Things you could start talking about in English.
Okay, so we've covered background, hobbies, daily life, and goals. Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, the exciting part, putting it all together, how do you weave all these different bits into something that sounds, cohesive and natural when you talk about
Yeah.
yourself?
How do you make it flow?
Well, our research gave us a really great full example. Let's use Sarah.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm originally from Turkey, but I've been living in Berlin for the past 3 years. I grew up in a small town near the coast, and I have 2 older sisters.
Right, the background.
In my free time, I enjoy drawing and listening to music. It helps me relax. I'm also learning how to cook, which is something I never had time for before.
Hobbies and current activities.
My daily routine is pretty simple. I usually wake up around 6:3 a.m., have a quick breakfast, start work. I work from home as a freelance designer, so I spend most of my time at my desk.
Daily life.
One of my biggest goals is to become fluent in English and maybe even teach others one day. I believe language can open so many doors, and I'm excited to see where this journey takes me.
Goals and future vision. What do you think makes that example work so well? For me, it just sounds very natural, personal.
Yeah, I agree. It flows really well. It gives you a clear sense of who Sarah is, what matters to her, without being overwhelming.
Not too much detail, just enough.
Exactly. It's a great model for you listening to sort of aim for. Notice how she links things, too.
How so?
Like learning to cook because she didn't have time before, or her goal to teach English connects to her belief about language opening doors. It connects the dots.
Ah, I see. That's clever. Now, for anyone listening who might still feel a bit hesitant, about talking about themselves in English?
Uh-huh.
Don't worry.
No, definitely not.
Our sources have some really practical final tips to help boost that confidence.
No. Tip number 1, write it out first.
Okay.
Just start by, putting down a few sentences about each area, background, hobbies, routine, goals, like creating a little outline of your story.
That makes sense. Helps organize your thoughts, figure out the words you need.
Exactly. Then tip 2 is all about practice.
Mhm.
Practice speaking it out loud.
Talking to yourself.
Yeah, or use your phone to record yourself. Then listen back.
I know that can feel weird at first.
It can, but it's so helpful for hearing how you sound, pronunciation, fluency. Just focus on getting a bit better each time, not perfection.
Good advice.
Yeah.
And the final tip, maybe the most important one.
Talk to others.
Ah,
Find ways to practice. Use conversation apps. Find a language exchange partner. Talk to friends who are also learning. Just use the language.
yeah. Get it out there.
The main message here, really, from all the research is just consistent practice. That's how you build confidence. That's how you get comfortable talking about yourself in English. Every time you speak, you're improving.
So, to kind of wrap up this deep dive, remember, our main goal today was to give you the tools, the insights, and hopefully the confidence to talk about yourself more easily in English. We've looked at background, hobbies, daily life, future goals, give you examples, phrases, tips.
And remember, as the sources really highlight, your story is valuable. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And it gets better, more polished every time you tell it.
So don't be afraid to share it.
Exactly. Put yourself out there. Practice.
And if you found this deep dive useful, please think about sharing it with other English learners you know.
Yeah, spread the word.
And just keep practicing every day, even just 5 or 10 minutes. Those little bits of consistent effort, they really do make a difference over time.
Absolutely. And maybe one final thought for you to consider. What's one new detail about yourself, maybe something we talked about today, that you could try to share the next time you have a conversation in English?
Ooh, nice challenge.
Just one small thing. It's a small step, but it can make a big difference to your confidence. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.